All right, what's up, folks? Welcome back to Frugal BC's live stream. We're talking Algorand, HBAR news, crypto news, all kinds of fun stuff like that. I'm your host, Frugal BC. We got a lot of good stuff for you today. A lot of announcements too. Some very good stuff. I'm going to tell you. A little alpha. I got a big show that I'm setting up for December. I'm not going to talk about the details yet, but it's going to be big. I've gotten some confirmation. The ball's rolling on it. Going to be some big names on the show coming up in December, and I think you're going to enjoy it. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a Christmas special, but it hasn't been. I haven't locked everything in yet, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But it will be coming up. Also, I will be on IRL's channel tomorrow, IRL Algo. So keep on her Algo hours. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be big. And we're starting the day with some really big crypto news, which is really awesome. I'm super excited about the fact that crypto is starting to take off a little bit. This may be the start. It would be the right time for the start of the bull. I've seen some indications that it might actually tick backwards a little bit. Some people are saying that Bitcoin's a little overheated right now, and that might lead to some pullback. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, we'll get into that. We'll get into the charts, see how everything is doing, Algorand, how Algorand's doing, HBAR is doing, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the others. Meanwhile, got some really cool stories today. Townstar with a new game mode going live. I'm already testing it out, and I've got some mixed feelings about it, to be honest, and about the whole thing. I kind of talked about it a little last week. If you're not a Townstar fan, well, we got plenty of Algorand news for you. News about Folks Finance and new cross-chain protocol that they're partnering with another chain. I wonder how that'll go over. Fractal Monsters announcing a new game mode that looks a little bit like Smash Brothers. I kind of like that. Some news about US dollar coin transactions on Algorand, so that's pretty cool. And some news about Fame Token that we'll share. I haven't talked a lot about Fame Token, but I did meet the founder Bilal and Decipher, and I do have one of the actual wooden Fame tokens. I forgot to bring it with me, but maybe I'll go back in my room and grab it at the right point. We'll see. Not to leave out our Hedera HBAR fans. We definitely got some Hedera news today, and I think I found a way to get a little more Hedera news into the broadcast. So keep an eye out for that. Is that weird to call it lot broadcast? It's like super old, super old school. Hedera's got a big partnership that has to do with carbon credits, and this is going to be a metric ton, a metric ton of transactions on the Hedera Hashgraph network. So we'll talk more about that, as well as Valve Games Hedera-based MMO. I think I'm using that term right. I'm barely a casual gamer, but I love seeing the space explode. Called Imperium Galactic War. It looks really fun. Looks like the kind of game I would want to play. Alpha has already launched and closed alpha, but game should be coming soon. We'll take a look at that, as well as a service called Twigital. I think that's how it's pronounced. I've only seen it written. What's cool about this one is it uses unique fingerprints and 3D receipts to verify that a product is actually the product it is. So no counterfeits. So if you got a Rolex, you can have this signature, so that if you see a Rolex in the store and you scan it with this thing, if it's not a Rolex, it'll be like, nope, doesn't have the signature. So that could be a huge partnership for Hedera. And we're gonna look at this. Story about cryptocurrency. Is cryptocurrency ready to explode? We're going to look at an altcoin daily video, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Although now, now it might seem very predictive, because Bitcoin and everything else is on a nice little run. Just as we went live, it's starting to top off a little bit, and whether that's some people think that's overcooked, and that means we're coming down for a little bit. Probably means we're going to pop back up. I think we got to be close to the start of the bull. We gotta at this, because we're so far past where we should be. And if we have some time, otherwise I might make a separate video. If we have time, I'm gonna go through my Algorand HBAR liquidity mining experiment, and so we'll kind of talk about the results of that. I'll show you the picture here and the charts that I made. Very interesting chart. Now, as Just a reminder for anyone who hasn't been watching, the chart is I put $100 into 3 different Algorand protocols and took a measure of how much algo would be $100 at that point, and as well as Bitcoin to measure. So I treated those as control groups. Recently, I added Saucer Swap to the experiment. So we've been tracking that as well. But it's really important when I talk about that to know that it wasn't started at the same time, so it doesn't quite count in comparison. But that's all the stuff we're going to look at today. And I got another little piece of data we're going to look at that I think is going to be really interesting. So let's see who's on the channel. And I have to make sure I turn my phone down. This is the one thing that I can't do very well on screen yet. Actually, you know what? No, I can't. Maybe well, no, I'm just not going to do it that way. So I'm just going to see what your chats are. Everyday Algorand is joining us. Hello, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Close to bull. We are close to bull hack. What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by that. Everyday. CJ, the great algo, says good afternoon, sir. Welcome. All right. Okay, we'll check on those chats every once in a while. Meanwhile, let's just look at these charts because, oh my gosh, this is fun times. Fast times at Ridge Mountain High right here, let me tell you. And I gotta remember to share my screen. Sometimes I don't do that. All right, yeah, so they all look like this. Just about everything is up at least a little bit, if not a lot. And we got Bitcoin. Now it's back over 28,000. This morning it was at 28.3. Then it fell back to just under 28,000 right before I went live, and is now back up there. Kind of a similar pattern with Ethereum, although the drop is a little more extreme, I think. We had a very similar pattern here, but lots of good news. And then look at Solana. Now, Solana didn't pull back really much, so we're still at 24. That's a good price. I bought a lot of Solana around 1920. It's probably a good time to talk about price targets. With Solana, I am looking at maybe a $50 Solana where I'm going to start taking a little profits. Bitcoin, probably about 50,000 where I'm going to start taking some profits. Should I do it earlier? Probably. And I'm not telling you to do that. But I always, on run-ups, especially when you're double what you got, you should take some profits. I'm not saying a lot. Make sure you lock some of your profits in. It's good risk management. Yeah, we got Cardano pumping. I think BitBoy, or not BitBoy anymore, but he had a good point about Cardano that it just has a huge community. I think the same with Solana. A lot of these prices are just driven by community. It's because I'm not a fan of Solana, the project. I just think there's better stuff out there. Algorand and HBAR work faster. They're building better partnerships, but you got network effects. So that's why you see stuff like Doge like pump. It's not really pumping much today compared to the others, but just see if there's anything. Yeah, I'm really hoping to. Yeah, I'm really down on my Matic because I bought what I thought was a pretty good low, and it dropped even further. I might not win on that one. It's hard to say. Yeah, I got a little moon bag of Shiba, so if that takes off, I'll take some profits. Chainlink. I like Chainlink. I had to talk with someone about Chainlink, and I like Chainlink. For some reason, I sold it out for something else. Still think it's a good project, though. Avalanche. I mean, it can only be in so many things. Yeah, Cosmos pumping up. I'm very excited about Cosmos. It's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be like a 4, 5, 6x maybe. Maybe more, who knows? Yeah, I always say this with a caveat that it's like I could totally be wrong about this stuff. And interesting, Hedera pulled back a little bit. We had a pretty good. Actually, I thought we were higher than I thought we were at 0.051 or something on Hedera, but sitting at 30. Yeah, Little Dow doing well. Trying to see if there's an Arbitrum is like 16% up. That's a big jump for the week. Optimism near is pulling back a little. It's going up a little bit. It's still. I remember I bought a lot of stuff at $1.17, thinking that was pretty low for near, and is not even at that yet. So I'm way under on my near. But I think near will. I hope near does well. It hasn't. it's kind of acted like Algorand in terms of price action. Now, speaking of Algorand, I got to give a shout out to Aave there, and also Bitcoin SV for being at 27% up. Got to admit, I don't know a lot about Bitcoin SV. But let's talk about Algorand because we are at 4.5%. Just looking behind me, had some down candles, and now they're starting to pump again. So maybe we'll see that continuing to rise. But we got again, this is sort of proving my thesis. It's pumping up okay, but not the way a lot of other ones are. And we've been seeing that from near too. I hope that doesn't continue. It's stuff like Solana, when it pumps, that's important. That matters. You may have to do with supply. Stacks. So I'm just going to round up the top 50 here. Yeah, look at Thorchain. Thorchain is really pumping too. In fact, if we want to look at the top gainers, and it'll take me a little while to get there. Yeah, Bitcoin SV is actually the biggest, followed by Solana. But in terms of top 10, I mean, nobody's hitting the gains of Solana. So I bought a little Solana. I will not operate on it. I won't do anything with it, but I'll buy it for future gains. I mean, it would be silly. It would be kind of silly not to. When you have something that's just showing that it has the ability to pump, as far as an short-term investment, and I'm talking like to sell this bull, I will sell probably all of my Solana once it hits the bull. Other stuff I might keep some, I'll keep some Moonbags, but Solana I'll just sell out of. That's that, and let's just see what's going on with Prestige. Not gonna spend a great deal of time on this. Take a little break just to see how you guys are. Oh, the everyday Argonaut's talking about the biggest hackathon this year. That's very cool. I heard about that a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Kimchi Block, what's going on, man? Good to see you on the show. Welcome here. And welcome, ZK Bob. Welcome to the show. What is Nexus ASA? I don't know. Are we on here? Let me take a look. A bank has had a pretty big resurgence of 4.3x. That's pretty big. That's amazing. Otherwise, Smilecoin pumping back up a little bit, and Nexus. That's what we're talking about. Let's go to it. Why don't we just take a look? Pepe. I noticed Pepe was also pumping up a lot too. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's had some green candles lately. That's for sure. Look at that. It facilitates safe peer-to-peer trades, swaps, or sales between individuals around the globe via escrow smart contracts on the Algorand blockchain. That's interesting. We have to look up that project later. Maybe we'll do a video on it. But yeah, interesting. We had this huge downtrend and then back up. And one other thing I want to look at, and I don't want to spend a great deal of time in this because I got another thing I really want to get to. Let's see if I can do this really quickly. Bollinger Bands, and what else? What's the other thing I want? SMI. Shoot, I don't think it was that either. There's two indicators I'd like to look at, but I haven't done this in a while because I just don't trade. Nope. Just trying to see if the RSI, whatever. Because typically Bollinger Bands can be kind of telling. So if you're at the bottom of the band, it usually means you're going to start popping back up. But there's one other metric, and I wish I could remember what that metric was. So it's going to drive me nuts. I could find it in Coinbase, but usually when that one's high and it's at the bottom of a Bollinger Band, that means it's about to pump, which is a good chance to make a trade. I just don't mess around it much. It's too much. It's too much stress, and you have to be like constantly glued to your computer. And I just don't have that. I'm glued to my computer anyway, but it's because I'm working. So that is that. Now, one other thing. See if I can find it quickly. No, I can't. One other thing I want to show you guys while I'm doing that. Let me see what's going on here. Dale says VWAP is important. Yeah. Oh, I didn't have the. Jeez. Probably help if I have my microphone in front of me, doesn't it? Can you guys hear a lot better now? Sorry about that. It's like you focus on one thing and you forget everything else. Sorry, you're gonna have to be in my notifications. Oh, people are shouting me out. I like that. Thanks, CJ the Great. Appreciate the shout out. This is a conversation I had with Algo HQ this morning, so this kind of sparked me to look into this because he was saying before I. He was saying it's realizing that the tiny man hack was the most crippling blow to the ecosystem. Just had a call with a DeFi farmer, said after the tiny man hack, he never came back. He thought it meant Algorand was not secure. It was over 20 months ago. I said, I generally wonder which was worse, the my algo hacks or Tiny Man. He said, we expected the impact to be worse. I think Tiny Man was more impactful than my algo. I said, for my algo, yes, it wasn't as bad as I expected, which is, of course, not to say it was a good thing or didn't have an impact or even a sizable impact. I would have to look into this more at some point. So, at some point, I decided was this morning. So let's share this one. So this is daily active addresses. And one thing that kind of annoys me is taking out the price didn't help me. The green line is active addresses. And you can see there was a huge spike before January. It started to come down already. So it's just, and it's really, this one's really hard to read. But it's really hard to see a pattern that would suggest a lot of people left. So I went down below here to total with a balance. So this is all wallets. This is the total balance with the wallets that actually have something in it. So they actually had to use it to some degree. And it's been kind of a steady increase since July 20th. So that's kind of cool. Except there's that big dip, and you might be tempted to say, oh, that's the Tiny Man hack. And I thought that was my first reaction to that as well. Then I saw, wait a minute, what's the date? Monday, December 13th. That's the peak. And then it starts dropping. Now, this is before the hack, because the hack happened January 1st. And that dip is December 27th, still before the hack, and then it starts popping back up. And it's not lagging, it's actually the opposite, it's preceding. Now, if there's a lagging indicator, we could possibly attribute it to the Tiny Man hack, but it's actually the opposite of that. It actually happened beforehand. So while I think it had an impact on that, was there one other thing I thought? Active address ratio. Now that started to drop a lot around the Tiny Man hack, but again, the dip starts really before the peak as the 27th, and it starts coming down on January 3rd. So maybe there's some, and then I think the MyAlgo hack was around here somewhere. I don't remember exactly now, but I was more focused on the Tiny Man hack. That dropped a lot. Well, that was the price, though. That was the price. Yeah, you can see in terms of active addresses, there was a huge spike right before it was in the end of December, and then it just dropped. Maybe that might have to do something to do with Decipher, maybe because it was right after Decipher, a couple weeks, maybe. Oops, that's that's 22. I'm sorry. 21 is this one. And there we just see it being pretty flat. So wait, did I get that wrong up here? No, I didn't get it wrong up here. I might have been off on that. Actually, we see a big spike. We see a big spike up. Yeah, it's 2021, not 22. Wait, no, it was 20. Hold on now. Now I'm confused. I think I'm psyching myself out. It was 22. It was January 20. Tiny Man. I just second guessed myself. Yeah, January 1st, 2022. 21. I barely started my channel in 2021, so Tiny Man didn't exist when I started my channel. Okay. I just wanted to double check. So yeah, everything I said was correct. I just doubted myself for a second there. So anyway, I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's interesting to look at real impacts of this stuff versus we can say that we think this thing had an impact, but until we actually look at the data, we don't really know for sure that it had this big impact. And I thought the MyAlgo hacks would have a much bigger impact. Just a reminder, it's been since April since we've heard anything about that. Nobody has given an update, not the foundation, not MyAlgo themselves. Apparently, as far as I know, the wallet still exists. I haven't checked in a while, but it's kind of crazy that we just haven't heard anything on that. Before we get to our first news item, man, I'm gonna start doing 2 shows because there's just too much stuff. Liliot1234, welcome to the show. Good to see you, by the way. Says HBAR and Saucer swap. Sauce V2 is coming out soon. Sauce audit is over now. V2 should be live soon. We'll keep an eye out for that. Thanks for the tips. Everyday Algonaut says it looks like a snake that ate elephant. It does. It did look like that. I agree. No, I just think that stuff's really interesting, and it's fun to go through the data. So let us go through our first news story, and that is the new game mode for Townstar. By the way, not called Townstar anymore. It's actually called Common Ground, and the game mode is called Common Ground Worlds, or maybe that's the whole name. I forget. So they got this brand new game mode. They announced this last week. I thought it was crazy. I thought, how can you start this new mode when you already got so many bugs in the original game? Why are you doing this? Well, it turns out they actually have the game out. So apparently they've been working on this for a while because the new game mode is out. Now it's not that different from Townstar, so I could see how it might not have taken a really long time to code. It's pretty much the same game, except you start off with a 5x5 square, and your goal is to remove the other squares in the grid. It's a 64x64 grid, so that you're basically reclaiming the soil. So it's kind of an environmentalism thing, which I'm cool with. I don't care. I'm concerned now. I'm starting to see why I think they weren't fixing the bugs that were very persistent, or very slow at fixing the bugs that were persistent in Townstar. I think this is because they were working on this new game mode, and they're already short-staffed. So now they're adding this while trying to keep the original game going. And I still think this is the wrong move, but I will say I think the game is fun. So here's my 2 takes on this. Well, before I do that, let me show you the game as best I can. I do not want full screen. Let me share it here. It's probably going to play a really slow warning. But this is it. This is Common Ground World. That's what they're calling the game now. I'm going to keep calling it Town Star because I'm sorry. It's a stupid name. I understand it makes sense for the film. This is based on a film, by the way. This is based on one of Gala Games' documentaries. I have not seen it, and I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with like having the mode be Common Ground. That's cool. I just think renaming the whole game is like a stupid idea. So we're going to load it up. It takes a while to load up the game now because it's persistent. So it basically updates when you start it. So it should load up in just a second here. Wow, that's really taking a lot longer than I expected. It's all set up. I thought, okay, we're at 100%. This won't take too long. Let's see, what are you guys saying in the meantime? Nothing new, okay? That's fine. Let me grab a drink here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so this section that my cursor is pointing on, I assume you can see it. If you can't, it's 5 by 5, and so everything else I've uncovered and built. And unlike the original Town Star, nothing costs anything. So you can see zero cost. So it's not a cash flow game like the other one. The goal is just to make money and then clear off these tiles. And you can see these tiles cost money. This one cost 25 grand to remove. The spoiled soil costs a little bit more. That one is 375,000. I'm not sure why that one is so much more. That tree costs 3 million. So some of these, like most of them are 25,000. Oh, some of them are just, yeah, some random ones are just more. Actually, a lot of them are more. So I think the further out you go, the more it costs. So then you have to find new ways to make more expensive products. So I've been doing flour. I think I'm going to have to switch to sugar, so I can do sugar, milk, and one other thing that makes butter. I can't remember. Oh, salt, which is going to be a challenge because there's no salt fields around. And the ones early on, well, actually, it might be. I don't really have any water effects. You can't use the Express Depot. You have to use the regular one. It won't allow it. You can use other ones, like I got. This one gives me more. This one gives me more dollars per sale. This is an NFT that I got for some kind of oopsie they made that I don't even remember what it was. And everything's way slower too, by the way. So you can see each of these takes about 20 minutes to craft. Normally it's like the slow version is 3.5, so it's way slower. So it's a much slower game. I kind of like it as a challenge compared to the original game. So I don't hate it too much. And we'll get into that when I give my pros and cons of this. But yeah, so overall, I mean, it doesn't look like they had to probably do a whole heck of a lot other than, I mean, there definitely was some coding involved to get the game to operate differently, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of a unique challenge for regular town players, which I will get into. I'm going to shut that down. The sale's really fast. So I'm going to show you something before I do this, actually. So I'm going to sell some flour. There's no auto sell, by the way. You have to do everything manually. They actually have a timer here to tell you when it's going to return, which the other game mode used to have once upon a time and hasn't had for a while. So, but you can't run out of cash, because nothing costs anything other than the time. Your labor doesn't cost anything. So if you can get down to $100, and it's not really, your town's going to keep running no matter what. Which in the other game, it's a cash flow game. You have to keep, which is why I like it. you have to keep, you have to make sure that you have enough. Okay, so can I remove any of these? So this one's still 25,000, so I'm going to show you. So hit the 25,000, then boom, I have more room. I can make my road there. I want to make a cow barn, so that's my next thing. I'm going to make a cow so I can start doing sugar and salt and make some butter to get more money so I can actually clear off more land. So I don't hate it. Anyway, we'll get out of that. So I don't hate the game. So here's what I'll say about it. I like the game mode. I think this is a great fun challenge for regular Town Star players, especially if you're in between competitions. By the way, my last competition I finished 999, which is I think pretty good considering I only have NFTs that I've earned in the game, plus one crappy NFT that I bought simply to earn on the game, which you can't earn on anymore. Which, by the way, people are really mad about this, and I'm still mad about this. Like they're wasting their time on this when, and this is maybe part of the cons. I think this is the number one thing that people ask about in the Discord all the time. How can I earn in this game? When is earn coming back? And the answer has been basically, who cares? We're doing this instead. So I got a problem with that. The one thing I really have to say that I think is ridiculous is that they claim that this is going to be a game mode for new players to bring new players into the game. I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it. There's no way that the first thing you do is you can do like a couple of things in the game and then you have to wait 20 minutes basically for anything to happen before you earn enough that you can sell products that you can clear off one of the squares. There's no way a new gamer who isn't already familiar with Townstar is going to come in and think, oh, this is really fun. I like this. Let's do more of this. Not going to happen. So, well, I appreciate having a new game mode. I think it's fun for current players. I don't see this attracting a new player. I do not see it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I have a really hard time seeing it. But it is what it is. I still think competition is fun. I don't think it's necessarily fair, but it is what it is. All right, now that I've scared everybody away with my Townstar video, let's get into some Algorand news. Oh, come on, I didn't save that. All right, just take me a second to, hold on, actually. Everyday Algorand says, have you tried sim companies? I have not. Tell me more, my friend. You can tell me more while I'm loading up the next story that I forgot to link to. I linked to everything else, but not this one. Oh yeah, and by the way, in case you're wondering, I know that there was a lot of news about BitBoy crypto. Oh, where did I come across that? Oh, here it is. It says it's a cash flow simulation game. You produce products, build buildings, and optimize profit. Yeah, it sounds fun. Is that a blockchain game or just a regular one? I'd be curious to try it out. It's kind of funny because the stuff that people say about Townstar that they don't like is the stuff I do like. So I think that's very interesting. Anyway, if you send me a link, I'll check that out. You can always message me on Twitter too. Okay, so Folks Finance has a big announcement recently. They are partnering with Chainlink to use Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol in order to offer cross-chain services on the Folks Finance platform. Let's see what they have to say. We'll read this whole news item. So this is right from the source. This is right from Folks Finance, partnering with Chainlink CCIP. which we said is cross-chain interoperability. And that's going to allow them to operate across multiple blockchains. It says, we're leveraging CCIP's arbitrary messaging functionality to build cross-chain hub and spoke lending, enabling users to deposit collateral on one chain and borrow assets on the other. We selected CCIP as our go-to interoperability solution based on Chainlink's proven track record of the highest security and reliability standards in Web3. Furthermore, CCIP is backed by the Risk Management Network, a separate independent network that continually monitors and verifies cross-chain operations for suspicious activity. So I think this is great. Now, Algorand has the reputation of being one of the most secure blockchains, and they are partnering with Chainlink in their CCIP, which also has that very good security reputation. I like that. This additional layer of security is really particularly important given the billions of dollars of user funds lost due to insecure and unreliable cross-chain infrastructure. They go on to say these are some of the points in its favor: time-tested security and reliability, seamless integration, offers a unified experience by providing a single, easy-to-integrate interface. Well, that's always good. To me, that's one of the most important things in crypto, and this is something I was talking about with my friend, my in real life friend, who is an enormous YouTuber. I won't say who he is, but we were friends. He gives me a lot of tips. We meet up every once in a while, and we were talking about crypto because he's into crypto. His content is not in crypto; it's a totally different space. But he's an in real life friend, and we were talking about how like crypto is kind of at the I say it's actually at the personal computer phase where it's still like nerds like us who are really into it, and it still hasn't hit that phase where it's so much of the tech is behind the scenes that the user doesn't have to think about it. Right now, you still have to think about the tech just like you did in the personal computer era of the 80s. Although that was, and we haven't hit the GUI phase where all of a sudden it becomes more mainstream. So we need to hit the GUI phase. So stuff like that, when I read easy to integrate interface, like that's what I want. Yeah, interfaces that allow me to just, if I'm Joe Schmo and I don't know anything about crypto, I can still take advantage of crypto. I can still use it without really having to use it. Just like you don't think about flash memory when you're playing with your iPhone, or all the other gizmos and stuff that's underneath there. You're just like, what can I do with this? Cool. It's also got scalable architecture, and it's future-proof, meaning it's built to support continuous updates, integration of new blockchains, introduction of advanced functionalities, and the addition of other defense in-depth approaches to security. Also, eliminates future switching costs. That's a big deal. And yeah, obviously they're very happy about that. I think that's a great piece of news. I think the future is cross-chain, and so I'm very happy to see that. I think that's good news for Folks Finance, and Folks Finance is one of the ones that's been sticking around, right? It's one of the ones that's still here, still operating. I'm sure they've had their troubles like everyone has. That's part of the bear market, That's what you're going to do. But they've managed to get through it so far, and if this is the beginning of the bull, which I really hope it is, I hope we're going to continue. It might be, might not be a linear approach. You might see it go up, you might see it go down a little bit before it starts popping back up again. But hopefully, folks weathered the storm there. Speaking of doing well during the bear, we've got good news from Fractal Monsters. They've got a new game mode that is out, and looks pretty cool. Looks a little bit like Smash, if you guys are Smash fans. So let's take a look at that. Here it is. We'll just take a look at that. So I don't know if this is actually live in the game. I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it. There is some new stuff in the game. Right now you can earn DFly just for playing the game. Before you could earn PayPay. Now it's DFly. Yeah, that looks like a kind of like a version of Smash, and it looks like a lot of fun. So I think that's really neat. By the way, does anyone have trouble with those controls? The movement controls I really kind of struggle with them. So I build a lot of my strategy on not having to do that very often. But yeah, I think that looks really neat. What did people say? Sewell was a big fan. Kevin V was a big fan. Trendsetters. It's super cool. Is this the part of the stream where someone talks to me about Void? I do want to actually want to talk to the Void people on the show. I want them just to explain everything from round one. But good for Fractal Monsters. You know, I've been critical of Web3 gaming a lot on this show, and I get that, and I stand by what I said. But I think we're seeing some changes. Fractal Monsters, as far as I can tell, is one of the good guys, and I like what they're doing. I like that they're continuing to build. They're providing value for their customers. That's what you need to do. So I know I've gone back and forth a couple of times on Fractal because I don't like the idea of selling NFTs and then hey now maybe we'll make the game, and I don't think they've done that exactly. I like that the game was live basically as you, well, it wasn't, but I know they did some shuffles beforehand and then afterwards. I thought maybe it was a little overpriced, but I have to give them credit. They're really doing it, so good for them. All right, what else we got? This is a short one. As you know, you can use a US dollar coin on Algorand. Well, this is some really good news about US dollar coin on Algorand. USDC, this is from Michael Jordan, mj.algo. You should go follow him on Twitter. He shouts out a lot of our stuff as well as other people. US dollar coin, a transaction surpassed 14 million. And he tags Algorand and Circle. So I think that's really cool. There's not a lot else to say, I think. I like that. But I think that's worth sharing because I think that's a big deal. 14 million transactions just for the Algorand version of US dollar coin. So good for them. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. Sometimes he's on the screen. Sometimes he joins the live. He always shouts us out. He's a very good dude. So, and I believe he actually is an ambassador for the foundation. And one little piece of Algorand news, and I promise we're going to get some HBAR stuff. I promise. Got this from Fame Token. I don't know if you guys know Fame Token. Now, I met him. I met Bilal, who is behind the Fame Token and the Fame platform at Decipher. He shared this week. This is from Bilal.algo, another good follow on Twitter. It says, historic moment for the Fame community. Since our inception in March 2nd of 2021, we've been on a revolutionary journey, and today marks one of the most monumental milestones. I'm thrilled to announce the full decentralization of the Fame token. The remaining reserve of 1,500 Fame tokens, which I've overseen since 2021, will be entrusted to our Fame DAO treasury next week. This isn't just any treasury, it's non-updatable smart contract build with the feedback, I think it meant built with the feedback of our Fame community, putting the reins of tokens feature firmly in the Fame holders. By taking this leap and stepping away from any control over the reserve, reinforcing our unwavering commitment to true decentralization and community empowerment. So he gives a little heads up. You got to know this, if you're a holder of the Fame token, there might be a little bit of volatility, so keep that in mind. And he says, actually, you might want to consider withdrawing your liquidity from all pools to ensure smoother sailing. Now, if you give me just a second, I'm going to withdraw my own. Fame token from the back. So if you just give me 2 seconds, I'll be right back. All right, I appreciate that. Thanks for sticking around because I wanted to show you this. This is an actual, wait, maybe I have to go back here. It's an actual Fame token that I got from Bilal at Decipher, and I've kept it on my dresser drawer. I think that's really cool, and it survived the trip back home from Dubai. And no, I probably won't be going to Spain for the Decipher this year. Last year, I got some help from NifGen, and they're like pivoting now. They're into something else. I'm not really sure. But they helped a big time for me getting over there. Still cost me probably about $500 total to get over there. But I appreciate that. It was fun. It was a good experience, but it was a harrowing trip. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I see IRL Algo. What is up, IRL? Welcome to the show. And we will, I think I told you guys at the beginning of the stream, but we will be live tomorrow on IRL Algo. I will be the special guest there. So check that. Be sure to check that out. She's going to grill me about all things Algo, I think. I don't know what she's going to do. Let's see. Pistol Pete says HBAR has a horrible marketing team. They announced a partnership with T-Mobile on Twitter and nobody knows about it. I did not know that. I did not know that. I will look in. I might have to look into that. We're just about to get to the HBAR segment. I'm excited too. I'm going to bring the juice for you, IRL. I'm bringing the juice. I got some juice for you. Yeah, we're going to have fun. Dustin, what is up? Welcome to the show. And by the way, good time to say that I am sponsored by, I think I forgot to do that at the beginning. Before we get to we're getting to the HBAR segment, I promise. Window. Sponsored by NFD. Thank you guys for being a sponsor on the show. Much appreciated. NFD, non-fungible domains. You can get your .algo address through them. Non-fungible domains, and they have vaults now that can actually hold assets, and you can sell the vault without selling your address. You keep your address, but you can transfer the vaults or sell the vaults. A good way to sell kind of like a group of NFTs or that sort of thing. Very cool. Welcome, guys. Thanks for sponsoring the show. And I know this is a really weird way to do it. We're working on it. Also brought to you by Taco Coin. So Taco Coin is the coin behind a taco truck, not a stand, but a truck in Iowa. And they serve really yummy tacos. And they also have a poker platform that you can play, I believe, using Taco Coin. I have looked into it. I didn't try it out. I'm not like a great poker player or anything, so, but that's them. I will find a better way to do that, by the way, I promise. We're getting a lot of claps for Taco and NFT. Glad to see that. Very cool. CJ the Great says Taco Coin LFG. Not going to pronounce that on the show for the YouTube algorithms, but appreciate the sentiment. Appreciate the support from Taco Coin and from non-fungible domains. All right, let's get into some Hedera news, because Hedera just partnered with a company called Alcott, and this is a project hub helping facilitate carbon credits on various projects. So it's really, really cool. Now that's going to mean like a metric ton. I called it a hecton just to be, non-vulgar. A metric ton of transactions operating on the Hedera hash graph, actually probably about 500 million. And why don't we just look at this one?
Ecosystem. So who are Alcott? Alcott are one of the world's biggest sustainability project developers. And a project developer in this arena means the organization that goes and works with project owners, projects being the likes of reforestation or afforestation or carbon sequestration through certain land management practices. It might be African cook stoves, or it might be mangrove renewal. Those are the sorts of projects, all of which deliver carbon credits. So the project developer goes and at scale brings projects online, works with the global registration bodies to issue these credits on behalf of the projects. So that's the role that the project developers play.
Yes, I just wanted to show you that a little bit about some of the projects that are going on there. I think that's really, really cool, and just the impact it's going to have on Hedera, on the hash graph, with all of those different projects operating on it. So that's the super serious, real world. I call it boring but important kind of stuff that's happening. So, blah blah blah. But let's talk about let's switch to games, because games are just way more fun, right? So Vavel Games just released its alpha, closed alpha, on September 29th of its game Imperium Galactic War. I think this looks really, really cool. So why don't we take a look at this? Oops, not that one. Public IGW 3.0 closed alpha start imminent. And that happened the 29th of September. This marks the first 30-day IGW league before the full alpha release of IGW crypto with usable NFTs. Our Windows Valverse Launcher 3.0 made its public HBAR debut. Missing that this Friday. More info in our Discord. So I hope they have an Apple version, because I tend to use Apple stuff. I have been thinking about getting a PC just for gaming, and the closed tests are going on, so that's been going on, and I think this game looks really cool. So why don't we do that and we actually take a look at the game itself, because I think it looks really impressive. It looks kind of like maybe a little bit like StarCraft, not exactly, but there's probably actual gaming people probably have a better comparison than I do. Where did that go? Here it is. Yeah, it'll just take a second here. I know my ads
haters gonna hate.
Okay, well, I think you get the idea there. I just think that game looks really cool. I think that's going to be a huge win for the Hedera ecosystem, and I hope some of the Algorand games start coming out. There's one called Trantorium or Trantor. Oh, I forgot. I kind of forgot the name of it now. That I saw at Decipher, and I haven't heard a lot out of those guys, but that game looked very similar to the Babel Games one that we just showed. So I hope that comes out too. But yeah, that's a big positive for the Hedera ecosystem. I hope they handle the NFTs right, and I hope they don't follow the trend of having this like perpetual beta going on. So I think doing the closed alpha is smart, and I hope when they release I don't have a problem with doing a public beta, but I hope it's I hope it doesn't stay in perpetual beta like Townstar. But it looks great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try it out when I'm able to. So. We'll definitely do a review on the show. But that is not all in Hedera news. We got one more thing that I think is... Oh, come on. I didn't link to that either. I am doing good today. All right, let me get this. Okay, I got one more piece of news for you that I think is really cool, and this is a company called Twigital. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know for 100% sure, but I've only seen it spelled. Really cool project that is basically does verification of real-world assets. And the way the reason they do this for stuff like, your Hermes handbag or your Louis Vuitton handbag or your Rolex watch. If you see them in a store, well, you want to know that it's real. You don't want to know that you don't want to think that you're getting ripped off by, like, buying a counterfeit. Well, Twigital basically fixes that by offering each each authentic item will have a unique fingerprint and a 3D receipt, so it's actually real, and that'll be launched on the Hedera, operating on Hedera Hashgraph network. So this is what I'm talking about, Twigital. And it says, leather and authentic handbag is its fingerprint with an immutable 3D receipt, digital receipt to inspect against counterfeits that could be eliminated in primary and secondary markets. The simple but strong fraud prevention could be leveraged now by using Twigital, powered by Hedera. So that's kind of cool. I like that you can just pull it up and you can actually look at it, look at the actual what it's supposed to really look like, so you can see if there's any differences. But then there's also that signature. So when you look at it, look at that bag. Is that a real bag? Well, I don't know. Let me pull out my app. There we go. And she's doing it. We saw this before. It looks like a nice clean design for the app. I like that. I think this will be a really positive thing for Hedera. So yeah, like that falls more into the maybe kind of boring, kind of important category. So we had very boring but super important. We had super fun, and then we had something in between, very practical and useful. This is our Hedera news for the day, and I think that stuff looks really awesome. So good for you guys. Okay, what's going on in the chat? Dustin thinks the next bull run is mid 2025. I think it's coming 2024, because isn't that the happening? Isn't that where the happenings happen? Usually what we've seen, and of course we could see something different, but usually what we see is a short run up to the halving, and then a much bigger bull run after the halving. I like halving. Since we got that up, I will share this. Also, I wonder, where's Patrick to make fun of me for having 3 million tabs open? I'm surprised he's not here. Oh, I thought I pulled that up. Hold on. This is probably a good one. Can I click on this? It takes so long to load up. I like calling it happening. Yeah, so these lines are the halvings, right? These green lines, I believe. Or where does it show me? Why is it not showing me? So you get kind of a run up and then a big one. And we've had that happen a lot. So we could be, I like to think that we're sort of in this. How long ago was this? I think the green is, well, let me see. No, that's not. It's not. Oh, no, maybe it is. So actually, this is where, by the way, this is where I got into crypto. Right about here. And then when I got here, I went, oh, that seems bad. That seems bad. I started seeing crazy stuff like people borrowing money to buy Bitcoin, and I thought, oh boy, I think we're at a top of. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about these cycles, by the way. All I knew was that I saw people doing crazy behavior, and I said that kind of tells me something's going to give, I think. And I was right. I sold off all my Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin and made decent money. And then what I didn't do is I didn't get back in. That was stupid. I should have got back in. So that's that. But Anyway, I just wanted to, since it came up, I wanted to talk about that really quick. Let's see. Oh, darn it! I didn't show the right tab. Sorry about that. This is the chart. You can see that a little better. Sorry about that. There's Jeffrey. What's going on? Did you make fun of me for having a million tabs? Because that's what I expect. Anyway, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So right here, right in the 2015, where were we? Yeah, June. Around June, July, August is where I was buying a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then we had that huge run up, and all of a sudden I had all this extra money, and I was like, "What is this? What the heck?" It was so weird because I didn't knew nothing about Bitcoin. I just knew like, well, it keeps going. Every time I thought, "Oh, that's probably as high as it's going to go," it just kept going higher at some point. Now, not right away, but every time I thought, "Oh, I'd see all the Bitcoin is over," and then nope, just waiting for another run up. So, and we had a very. It's important to remember that we had a very shortened bull run last time, so we could possibly see something bizarre could happen, and that's what I've been saying. Like, you can't take this. The best we can do is project out from where we were, but you don't really know for sure, 100%. Anything can happen. Like, we saw a very truncated bull run last time, I think because of some market manipulation, and we might have that. Jeffrey says, do you follow Nicholas Merton Data Dash? Do you believe in this bear's thesis? I don't know what his thesis is. I haven't followed him, so maybe I'll go check that out later and offer an opinion on that. All right, how much do we got left? Maybe I'll skip the reaction video. We'll see. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, well, let's do the. I'm gonna talk about my DeFi crypto experiment for October. Now, we started this experiment in March, and I put $100 into 3 different Algorand DeFi protocols, and they were Humble, Cometa, and Algo Stake. I had to think about that for a second. Now we've changed them since because Humble suddenly, we were in a pretty good DeFi pool, and then they disappeared. So, and then nothing looked terribly appealing. So I switched that to Tiny Man Farms. Been doing much better with US dollar coin. Algo has been our main project. Algo Stake shut down as one of the many Algorand protocols that shut down in the bear market. So we switched that over to, what did I switch it to? To Focus Finance, and that was, unfortunately, the coin that we were staking was Algo Stake coin, which revealed a unique vulnerability that also I have with Cometa, because if Cometa shut down, the Cometa coin is probably going to be useless. So I might want to think about moving into something else besides Cometa. So that's one of the unique dangers of being in DeFi and being liquidity mining, is that the initial, if you're using a coin from a project that goes down, you could be SOL, right? So I'll just share my chart and we can talk a little bit more about that. Let me share the chart. So this is week 28. Now I actually missed the 14th on there somehow, and I don't know where that happened, so I might have to fix that. Now here's what happened with folks. The reason why folks finance is so low is because that's the remainder of the Algo Stake. And so my Algo Stake is worth $130 at one point, so it was way up, and then it dropped all the way down to 15. I sold out for about 15 bucks, and I sold that into Algo, which then went down even further. So that's where that is. We also added Saucer Swap from HBAR. So this isn't just Algorand anymore. I should actually put Algorand and HBAR in the title. So I'll probably do that for next week, or next month, because I only do these. Well, I post them on my community tab, so you can see them at any time in the community tab. I do that once a week, but the videos will be once a month. But yeah, Saucer Swap is doing pretty well. It was over 100 for a while. Now it's back under. And then the other thing I did, by the way, is I have, for a control group, I set $100 of algo, which was 466 algo at the time, and 0.00375 Bitcoin, which was $100 of Bitcoin at the time. Bitcoin has been doing the best. It's almost always been above 100, except for, as you can see, 3 weeks in August and September. In fact, I think we're missing another one there too. I might have to look into that. I use ChatGPT, and sometimes it does things. It does things I don't want it to do. We're missing a couple of September dates. That's really weird. And I might try to take averages and then go back to a monthly format, because that might make more sense. So the reason I did this experiment in the first place was my theory was that you often might lose more from the coin's volatility than you're gaining in APR. And so far that has proven true for Kamada, even for our tiny man, which has been doing decent. So even with reinvesting the dividends, so to speak, still down on a lot of them. But actually, they've all done better than Algorand, straight up Algorand, just not Bitcoin, which is really interesting. So in a lot of ways, you could say they're more successful because they've all outperformed Algorand. Just holding $100 of Algorand is worth about less than half what it was in March. Whereas these other projects have actually increased over time, which is really, or I shouldn't say that. They did for a little while in the beginning. Uh-oh. Oh, my dog's, hold on. Abby, go outside. Yep, sometimes when you're on a live stream, your dog decides she's got to throw it. That happens. Yeah, so very interesting that all of the DeFi protocols actually outperformed Algorand. That is something worth thinking about. So even though they dropped below, they didn't drop as long as just straight up Algorand, but they also, none of them outperformed Bitcoin. So even Saucer Swap didn't outperform Bitcoin. Actually, I probably should have had an HBAR control group as well. So I might actually, I've been talking about this, and the more I think about it, the more I think it'd be a good idea to just restart the experiment at the start of the year, start everything at $100 again, and because then I can do everything right and get it right instead of waiting till March, and then I can call it like the 2024 experiment, and I can refer to the year and just reset it every year maybe, or keep this one going and start a new one, but that might be even more cumbersome. So the other things of note, Lofty, I bought 2 new properties. I figured out what was going on with Lofty. The problem with Lofty was I had US dollar coin, but not algo, and it takes the fees in algo in my Lofty wallet. So I sent like an algo over to my Lofty wallet so I could complete the transaction. So apologies to Lofty. I figured it out. It was on my end. But it would be nice if they told you don't have enough algo, because that would have made it more clear. One little thing that might help the design, but it was my fault. So shout out to Lofty. Sorry about that. I still, and also the view, remember how I had that bug where the signatures weren't going away. There was signature requirement. No matter how many times you sign it, it kept saying you have to sign the agreement. That is gone as well. So good news for them. I appreciate that. So I am now, I actually have to look that up. Oh, I don't have that on me. Paying 26, oh yeah, I remember now, 26 cents now per day. I just bought 2 new property coins. The Airbnb one, I decided to try that out and see how that goes. Still doing really well with the Jackson Avenue one and the McDonald's property. Those are my best ones. Now I believe it's at 15 that aren't paying, so that's a real bummer. But anyway, yeah, that's my crypto experiment. That's my Algorand and HBAR DeFi liquidity mining experiment. So very mixed results. Like you said, it proved my thesis so far that you can lose money even though you're gaining this huge APR because in actuality the coins drop so much in price. And the problem with that is they can drop in price, and then the protocol is over, and now you either got to hold on to this thing until it goes back up, or find a new farm to put it in. Sometimes you can't. So that's one of the risks. Well, if you're doing something like US dollar coin Algorand, well, there's always something to do with that. Plus, US dollar coin is always worth $1. So I think that's probably one of the better ones. That's been one of the better ones to do. And I think it would be higher if it hadn't started out low. But remember, Tiny Man was the one we went into after Humble. So yeah, that's that. Let's see what people have to say. Dustin says Lofty is interesting, and he wants me to do a chips algo LP. We'll see about that. Red Hat is asking about a price prediction for XYO. Sorry, that's not my channel. I don't know nothing about XYO. Dustin says, yeah, Dustin really loves the experiment. I appreciate that, man. I think it's the one thing I'm doing for sure that nobody else is doing. Nobody else decided to do that experiment and look at the real data. You know, are you actually earning on these things? Everyday Algon says it's not true for the vote coin. And please make a chips algo LP. Says you can quintuple dipping by holding chips LP. Chips algo LP. Well, Lofty is. I mean, it's one of my experiments is just to see how it goes, you know, to try it out. And I give you this is the whole point of the channel is to give you the good, the bad, and everything in between. So it doesn't really make sense to be part of the DeFi experiment exactly. It's kind of its own thing. Okay. And then you guys are getting into the thing about interest rates. All right, so one more thing I want to do, and then we're going to end the stream, I think. So Altcoin Daily put out this video about, hold on. Altcoin Daily put out this video about, are we about to start the bull run? Now, this seems really, really interesting looking at this a few days later because they kind of looked like they're being prophetic here. You know, they said get ready, folks, in their headline, in their it said cryptocurrency is about to explode. So now a few days later, and we're getting some nice run-ups from Bitcoin. So let's take a look. Oops.
Bitcoin holders are very, very happy today. I don't think most people know what we know, what I'm about to explain to you in this video. Bitcoin posts its first positive September since 2016. This is the strongest September Bitcoin has had for 8 years. In the past, a green September resulted in a green October, green November, and green December. You can
Well, it's pretty cool because we're already kind of seeing that. We're already seeing like a green, looking like we're probably going to have a green October too. So good for him. Now this was actually made a few days. I saw this over the weekend, so ended up being pretty prophetic. But let's watch a little.
See that here. It is very likely Bitcoin sees a green fourth quarter. Not just October, but fourth quarter. My question to you is, and I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments section below, is October written in the history books?
Interesting, and yeah, sorry, my mic was off before. Interesting that it kind of looks like we are having an October so far. That's a very good start. It would have to fall quite a bit to erase that by the end of the month. Not that that is impossible. It certainly is, but we are seeing we're seeing a very good October so far, and that's nice to see. So very interesting because this was made like sometime over the weekend. I can't remember exactly when I saw it. I think Saturday, but good for him. I really like Altcoin Daily. I think he has like the best. He has a great interview with TJ from Crypto Discover Crypto Now about the whole Ben situation. I don't want to get into that. So many people have covered that. The one thing I'll say is it's maybe a little bit of a cautionary tale to make sure your business is solid. And I don't think you should do partnerships. And personally, you should be really careful about those partnerships if you do them.
Many reasons to be mid to long-term bullish from here. October, historically a great month for crypto. ETFs, delays will turn into approvals. Spot bids, recent pumps have been driven by spot buys rather than leveraged buys. This is excellent. Plus 99% of major FUD has already been released.
I'm not sure how he knows that about the FUD. I'm really not sure, but the other stuff looks good. The fact that it has been a good month for crypto, and the fact that September also has it normally isn't. So if you get a good September month, you typically have that. Doesn't mean for sure. Nothing is for sure in crypto or money markets or anything. And also I think these ETFs are going to be great news. I think they're going to make. It looks like the tide is turning against Gary Gensler, with Congress is really starting to go after him. I think he talks about that later on. But I think this is good news for crypto, and I think we're going to see good things going forward.
In my opinion. With Bitcoin's halving narrative really heating up in the mainstream, plus BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF specifically, and with the sellers over the past few years just generally exhausted, I think we're going to range over the next 6 months, maybe a little chop solidation. But if you survive the next 200 days, about 6 months of orange, you thrive in the next 518 day plus of greens after the halving. So if you...
Yeah, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. That's just good news. That's where we're at. I think we're very close to the end of the bear, but it doesn't mean that we're going to have like a huge run up. You know what I mean? It'll take some time, but we're getting there. And he says orange, but there usually is a little bit of a run up before the halving. It's just not like gigantic. It really takes off afterwards.
Believe in Bitcoin and crypto like I do, you are here. This is what we have coming, just like we've seen cycle after cycle. Anything can happen, of course, and that's why fortune favors the bold when it comes to investing. I'm making a bet on the future based on my specific thesis for Bitcoin and crypto. You're different. You have your own investment thesis, presumably, but many of us are believers in Bitcoin and crypto as an asset class.
Yeah, and that's me too. And I think I personally think he's spot on. I think that's where we're at. Again, there's no guarantee that any of that stuff will happen. It's just very likely based on historical data that that's how it will go down. That typically there's a lighter run up to the halving cycle, which I like to call the halvening. I just think it sounds cool. And between that and the actual after the halvening is when the really big bull happens. So yeah, I think he's spot on. I think altcoin nailed it. I think it's kind of prophetic that we end up getting a nice pump in October or October, as he said, and so that's good news. Cross your fingers for crypto. I think we're in for good things ahead. Anyway, I think that's. Let's see what people are in the chat. We're having quite a thing in the. Quite a conversation. IRL Algo says the AI voice is brutal. They do have a weird way of delivering. Like, it's like really. I like. He kind of talks like that. Actually, it's kind of weird. They seem like good guys. I've actually had comments from him. I've had comments from BitBoy Crypto, and I don't know who on the team was actually leaving the comment, but I think it's kind of interesting anyway. Kurt Rhodes, new person I haven't seen before. Welcome to the channel. I think you. At least today, I mean. It says, watch out, everybody, because at the end of the bear, there's a hole. Okay. Dustin says DC in, DC out. Yeah, I definitely believe in that. I believe in taking profits. I think it's a good way to manage your risk and to make sure that you're pulling some profits out when things are going well. I didn't pull a lot out in the last bull because I listened to BitBoy Crypto and he was saying like, "Oh, we're going to 100,000." I thought, well, we'll wait till we get close to there. I was thinking like 70, 80. I was going to start pulling out. Well, we'll only get into the 60s, so definitely setting my price targets a little differently this time. By the way, not financial advice, just what I'm doing. So you can do what I'm doing if you want. You don't have to. And David says, I want to thought if more people buy, they would go up. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting chat. Okay, well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate everybody joining the live stream, and I think that one went pretty well compared to, as live streaming is pretty tough. There's so many things that you have to think about that can go wrong if you don't do it. My mute button on my mic all the time, and if I play videos, I pretty much have to mute it or you get an echo, so all that stuff can happen. Make sure to tune into IRL Algo tomorrow. I should have dropped a link on the channel. But she's in the chat, so you can just click on the chat. You'll find her in there. Definitely watch it. I'll add a link to the description so anyone who's watching on replay can see it. But IRL Algo on YouTube, I will be on there at noon, and we're gonna have lots of fun, talk about all kinds of fun, cool stuff. Maybe she'll make me do some Algo Active. I don't know. Live on the channel, maybe. I don't know. Otherwise, like I said before, if you missed it, I got a big show cooking for December, and I haven't everything locked down yet, so there's going to be some people you might be surprised about. That's all I'm going to say. And let's see, if you haven't liked the show, hit the like button. I appreciate that. What are we at for likes? Only 5 likes. Come on, guys. You're killing me here. We can get more than 5 likes. Is that accurate? That can't be accurate. 5 likes. Also, we are trying to we're so close to 3,000, guys. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button so you can see all our videos about crypto. Just particularly, I focus a lot on Algorand and HBAR, but I do talk about others as well. So feel free to do that. If you want a Frugal VC hat, I got those in the description, as well as shirts and hoodies and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to be coming out with some new merch though, because I don't know if a lot of people want Frugal PC stuff. They might want Algorand stuff or HBAR stuff. So we're gonna shuffle that around when I get a chance. Yeah. Otherwise, links in the description that help support the channel, and are all stuff I personally recommend. I don't recommend. I'm very careful about what I recommend. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, Frugal BC. Stay safe. Not your keys, not your crypto, and I.